What's up, guys? Today we're working on a plane. As you can see, I'm in an airplane hangar. I got my buddy Dan Neely helping me out because we have a ton of stuff to do, and we're gonna have a lot of stuff to go over. So I'll grab the camera and show you some of the steps that we're going over. But before we even get started, I want to tell you a few of the steps that we're doing. The first one is we're gonna have to actually wet sand the plane itself because it's so old and so nasty that I have to exfoliate the skin. And then we're gonna go back in, and I'm going to actually use a wool pad on this to kind of quickly bring it back. Now, you can get away with not using a wool pad, it'll just take you a few more steps. As most of you know, I generally don't use a wool pad, especially on cars. On something this bad, you have to wet sand, then you have to use a, like I said, a wool pad to skip a few steps. Otherwise, I'll be here for days and days and days. So I'm going to grab the camera and show you. We did one little section. This is without any wax, any sealant, any of that stuff. Just show you how clean it came out. Alright, so here you go. Check out this section right here. Can you just focus it? So here's the line. That was the... It's so hard to focus. It's so shiny. Obviously, this is the line. We wet sanded it with 2000 grit. And then I polished it out with my compound and a wool pad. Here's the line. So there's bad, bad, bad. Bang. So we can literally restore a plane from this chalky mess into this. Now what he's doing over here is, see that this is bad, 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 and then we get to this section and it's all wet sanded. So it's got this dull finish, and that's what you want. So here, dull finish. See the line right here? Let's see if we can, there we go. Let's do that. So dull finish, and we created this dull finish. This is the bad, normal, I guess we'll call it shiny the way it was before. Is, you know, it's shinier than this because we just wet sanded it. But if we flow all the way back to here, I mean, night and day. So that's the process we're going to be going on through this whole plane. And it's an interesting little section over here that was, you hear it? It's been repainted. So we're going to have to figure out what to do with that. And you want to go careful wet sanding because I don't know how thick that paint is. And then we'll do the rest of the cabin, we'll do it inside. And we're going to split this plane in half, and we're doing a demo for it. And you always got to be careful. These little sections here, you can't get them full of compound and things like that. So you've seen that we've done half the plane, and it looks spectacular. I wanted to show you exactly what I was doing. What I have here is a Rose Garage polisher, and I have a 2000 grit sandpaper on there. And you can use this, or here I have a 1500 grit sandpaper, and the idea is to remove that surface contamination, all the nasty stuff that's been on here forever. So I'll show you real quick. Put this over your shoulder. You're gonna add a little bit of spray wax.
I'm doing a quick voiceover because we can't use the wireless labs at the airport. We don't want to interfere with the tower and that sort of thing. But here I'm using a 2000 grit attached to a DA with a stiff backing plate because it's a safe way to figure out what's going on with this particular plane and how it's going to react. Once I got comfortable though, I used 1500, 1000, even 800 on the other side of the plane. But you can use a wool pad alone for heavy oxidation removal, but it will generate a bit of what we call heat byproduct, which doesn't actually occur with wet sanding, so this is what I'm comfortable using.
We're at an airport, so there's planes taking off, there's helicopters behind us. Same idea. Again, what this is doing is removing that surface contamination so that I can come in here and restore it with another machine. You can see all the white goop that's coming off as we're shaving off all the oxidation and dead skin. Come in and clean it off. Now what you're going to have is a dull appearance, and that's normal. What I'm going to do is I'll dry this off a little bit and I'll show you the next step. Right now you've sanded everything down with 2000 grit. It's perfectly flat, but obviously it's dull. Now normally you don't see me using a wool pad here, but this plane is so bad that we're going to need to still be aggressive to take out all this 2000 grit. What I'm going to do, take my leveling fluid, I'm going to put a little bit in there.
Tap it around just like you would a normal dual action polisher. Tap it around. You don't want the sling everywhere. Put this over your shoulder. Start off slow. Work it in. I'm going to boost it up to about 4. And again, I'm using my Festool Shine Axe. You know, let the machine do its work. You can see the top layer of gunk coming off here. Alright, so now I've done a little bit and I want to do a bit more, but what happens is the pad gets full of all the junk that we took off this plane. So I have a spur. You hold it in your hand like this, try to keep it on camera, and put it on your leg, and you spur it. This will take out all the junk that I just took off the plane. Now you have a clean pad again. Right there. Add more product. Do it again. These are the steps you need to do when something, a plane or a boat, is really bad. That's why it takes forever. Alright, so check this out. I just did this area here, and it's perfectly smooth and looking good. I'll pull the tape off. Let it stick. Now you can clearly see one side is perfect, and the other side still has this chalky gunk all over it. Now that's what we did when we cleaned up the rest of the plane here, but I wanted to show you what the actual steps were. Now before I leave, I'm going to add a nice layer of skin on here to protect what I've done, and then I make sure that we do proper washing, or at least I teach the owners of the plane how to properly wash it so it doesn't get in this condition. As always, if you have any questions, shoot me an email at larry@ammonyc.com. I appreciate you guys watching. We're going to do a lot more tutorials on planes, but as you can hear, there's planes going off, there's people walking around, so we got to pick and choose our times. So I'll talk to you guys soon, and I'll see you next week.